But unfortunately, that's the good news, that you can do it. The bad news is you got to do it, and somebody's got to do it. And you're more than a bass player, you need a blogger in your band. You know, I mean, if you don't have the ability and the instincts for the internet, you have to surround yourself with somebody who does. And generally speaking, when you need a skill as part of your package, it's very difficult to have somebody who just does that part-time, and the full-time means in the band. You know, or maybe one of those guys like a Paul McGuinness who grew up with U2 that was, you know, he just devoted his life to the band, was with them 24/7. But generally speaking, I think you need somebody in a band that's providing one of those core skills. And it's just absolutely necessary now. It's like when the video era, you know, video killed the radio star. Everybody hear that slogan, and you know, the MTV, when it came on TV, when it debuted, the very first video was by the Buggles, which was a British band featuring Trevor Horn, who ended up being a really historic producer. And the song was called "Video Killed the Radio Star," and what they meant was that this is a new medium, and what worked in the old medium will not work in the new medium. And it was absolutely true. Like before video, you had to sound amazing. You had to write great songs or sing great songs. You had to be a great singer. You had to be a great musician, and the sound of your record was everything. And then all of a sudden, overnight, you had to look great. That was more important, and the music was secondary. And so in the video era, you either had to you had to be videogenic yourself, or you had to understand the medium, and even if you're ugly or not videogenic, you might have a feel for it, and you might be able to participate in the creation of a video that just felt like it came from you, like Dire Straits or something. You know, that would be a great example. You know, not videogenic at all, but their videos were brilliant. You could tell that Mark Knopfler's hand was behind every one of those videos. So that's equivalent now. You may not be a good blogger, you may not be a good social networking person, but somebody around you has to be able to master that. Or I think that, because that's not a skill that you can graft onto the band or an artist's career that successfully, I don't think.
Well, and that's how a lot of bands get to work with me or with my friends, with the producers that I work with, is because they are masters of getting attention on the internet. And I won't name any names, but I'm working with people, with a few people who are not incredible musicians, but are masters of manipulating the internet. And this is going to put you on the spot a little bit, Michael, but it'll be fun. Would you rather work with a musician or artist who is insanely talented but unable to promote themselves, or someone who is moderately talented but a genius at promoting themselves?
I'd rather work with the former, but I'd probably have to work with the latter.
Oh, that's such a good political name. Yeah,
but it's going to profoundly change music, because it's like the Darwin's evolutionary theory. It's like, you know, the environment that you live in determines what characteristics enable various entities living in that environment to survive and thrive. And so to survive and thrive in the music industry in the future, you or somebody connected to you at the hip has to have a feel for that. Because what record labels do, I mean, I think, you know, everybody says record labels are dead. I don't think they're dead, but they're, you know, some of them are going to die, and some of them will still be around, and there'll be equivalents that'll be still around. But what they do really best, and the Sum 41 was a really good example, is they take things that entities like people, bands, whatever, that really know what they're doing, and at least semi-prove that they know what they're doing, and then can create a little fire, and they pour gasoline on it. You know, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had in the last 20 years with people who come in my office who think that record companies or publishers or managers or whatever do all that shit for you. No, you do it. They help you do it. You know, they help empower you to do it. They help finance it. Then once you create the ball, they'll help roll it down the hill. But you got this. You have to do so much of that yourself that it's scary, and you have to really be multi-disciplined person. That's why there's so many great musicians lying by that side of the ditch, you know, on the road to success, that really didn't have a clue about all that stuff, didn't want to do that stuff, thought that it was all about, you know, being a pure musician. And some of us at dinner were talking about, or maybe it was before that, we're talking about John Mayer. And John Mayer, you know, I think is a really good example of one of the points I wanted to make tonight, which is that it's really the entertainment business. I mean, if you want to be a successful artist, in the way that probably all the people that you admire are, you have to recognize that you have entered the entertainment business. And John Mayer understands that. He's a Berkeley grad. He's obviously an unbelievable guitar player and an incredible songwriter. But he's a guy who's mastered the entertainment business. I mean, why do you think you see him in Perez Hilton all the time? It's not an accident. You know, he understands that he has to get in the media, get in the news to get popularized, and to get awareness, because the old system for creating a star is gone. And he understands that he deep down he's probably a guitar player. That's probably how he thinks of himself. But then he realized that he needed to create a vehicle for his guitar player ego, to get somewhere. Because otherwise he'd be, teaching guitar lessons in Boston somewhere right now, instead of, being rich, famous, and presumably creatively satisfied by all the music he's making and all the freedom he has. But he understands that it's entertainment, and he's working that system, playing the game.
Does that mean he doesn't really love Jennifer Aniston? I think he does.
I don't know.
Do we want to? Does anybody have any questions, or do we want to? Yeah, or do you have anything you want to?
Oh yeah, well that leads to a major point I want to make, which is it ties somewhat into the ambition that we talked about earlier. There's a great book out right now by a guy named Danny Goldberg, and he has been many things in his career. He started as a publicist for Led Zeppelin, and morphed into a manager, managing Nirvana, and ended up running Atlantic Records, and now he's put out a pretty good book, and it's called Bumping into Geniuses. And the phrase comes from a man named Ahmet Ertegun, who's one of the founders, really, of the modern record business. He started Atlantic Records, and one of the great talent finders in the history of the business. And people used to say to him, how do you find all these people, And he said, I don't know, I just go wander around and I bump into a genius, and then when I do, I grab on and don't let go. And anyway, Danny Goldberg said, and he was talking about Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, he said, nobody ever became a rock star by accident. It takes such an obsession, it takes such a sacrifice, it takes so much talent, it takes so much drive and ambition that nobody ever fell into it by accident. And even though the image may be, I'm an accidental rock star, that image is as crafted as Gene Simmons' image is, but it's just that the image is a non-image. And it's the old story that, I don't care about fashion or style or what I wear or anything. Bullshit. Every single human being, when they get out of bed in the morning and they put on their clothes, are at least subconsciously thinking about how they want people to perceive them. And so it being all entertainment, like if we're talking about the magic business. You guys know the magician Chris Angel. He's a sort of a punk magician. He's got he had a TV show. Well, if you guys wanted to be in the magic business, I wouldn't have to say to you, you don't really think he made the elephant disappear, do you? Because you just instinctively know it's magic, it's an illusion. Well, so is the entertainment business, and the commercially successful part of music is just the entertainment business. And if you think about all the famous musicians that changed their name. And until you actually actively start to think of that and go through a mental list of all of your favorite artists, it never occurs to you how often that happens. But and why do you think they do that? They do that to create a character, because they are characters. Like, in my opinion, this gets me in a lot of trouble. I was booed off the stage at a SOCAN seminar in Montreal once because I said this. It was a very indie rock crowd, and very righteous, and thought that I was the Antichrist. But to me, all successful music is manufactured. It's all manufactured. I don't care who you want to throw at me, your favorite artists, as long as they had success, commercial success, and lots of fans and that kind of thing. It's manufactured. The difference is, the best of it is self-manufactured. And I'll bet you that most of the people you're into fall into that category.